In this video, we're going to go over each of the settings you see in the player assignment menu. So the first one actually should be start health. We got to change that for the next version, but it is the amount of health that a human character will start with. And when they get zapped by a zombie, their health will drop depending on how much strength we set for the zombie character. So if we set the zombie to be 50%, then essentially after being infected or zapped twice by a zombie, a human will have 0 health and will potentially convert over into a zombie character. And so the second line is convert to zombie, and that is essentially if you want the human to convert over to zombie once their health reaches 0, or if they just simply stay at the 0 health state. The number of checkpoints, this is an add-on game if you have our Z Station mission objectives, and this number is goes up to 32. It is the number of checkpoints that the human characters need to find in order to become a doctor. So they level up into a doctor if they can complete the mission and find in here 4 unique checkpoints. The time limit, we usually set that pretty high just to give the humans a certain amount of time in order to find all of these checkpoints. For most purposes, we keep this to several hours so we don't have the game stop prematurely. For now, the team color, it doesn't have any feature other than changing the color of this red border around the Z tagger. This is going to be more implemented for a future version of this. The ambient light is it's going to control how bright the Z tagger is going to be, both the light bar right here and also the screen. We usually just set that to its max setting, but at the max setting, you'll know that the battery life is going to be a little bit shorter, but for the most part, you should get at least 4 hours of continuous gameplay on something like this. Now, if you need to stretch the time longer, then we do recommend changing the ambient light levels to be lower. And also note, when you change the ambient light levels to be lower, the infrared emission coming out of the Z taggers are also going to be cut down a little bit, just because we know in darker settings the infrared is going to shoot further, so we also reduce that. So next we have the doctor. The doctor is basically the opposite of a zombie. So the doctor strength will increase the human player's health, and then the zombie strength will decrease the human player health. And the second one right here, gain strength, that is if a doctor is successful in healing a human, we want to see if we actually give the doctor additional strength so that the next time they level up and can actually heal a human with more power. So their strength will increase every time they successfully heal somebody. The teams, just same as humans, we're going to skip, and same setting for the ambient light level. Something to note, between doctors and zombies, their strength will determine who will stun the other character. So when a doctor and a zombie meet, the character with more strength will stun the opposing player for a certain number of seconds. And what happens when a player is stunned is that they lose their ability to either infect if they're a zombie or heal as a doctor for a certain number of seconds. And the number of seconds is going to be determined by essentially the difference in their strength. So if the doctor and zombie have essentially the same strength, then the amount of time that they get stunned is only a few seconds. But if you have a really strong zombie, let's say someone at 100% strength, stunning a doctor who's only at 50% strength, then that doctor may be stunned for a good 10 seconds or 15 seconds before he or she has the ability to go heal anybody anymore. And finally, zombies, pretty much the same exact settings as doctors. The start strength is the amount of health it will remove from the human player. Gain strength, the same as doctors. is every time they're successful in infecting a player, how much do they actually gain their strength or not. And there are times where you want to turn these off, especially if the zombie character is a staff member that is in some kind of a walkthrough show, because you don't want the staff member to keep increasing strength to the point that when you have new guests coming over, the zombie character will just zap the human player in one shot. The incubation is once a human player loses health all the way down to 0, how many seconds left do they have in order to find a health kit or a checkpoint before they become a zombie? So this is quite useful to give the human player some motivation to continue looking for checkpoints, or more pressure, if you will. And if we keep this number very low, so right now it's 3 seconds, then it's virtually impossible for this human player to get saved once they have 0 strength. But if you kept this at, let's say, 60 seconds or 120 seconds, then you basically give the human player up to 2 minutes to find some form of health so that they don't become zombified.